Hi again, everybody. Lizzie back with you again. Today, I'd like to talk about some ways that you can make small changes in your day that will create big changes in your life. And these were tried and tested by me, so I know they worked. Um, a big part of being super stressed out or over, overdoing everything or being disconnected from self. One of the main things I found was that I needed to slow down. So stop rushing, stop being that frantic mind that was constantly thinking, what was I supposed to do next? So calming down, slowing down. And so I decided to live my life simply, to just make small changes in my day. And over time, these had a huge impact on my mental well-being, my emotional self, the way I reacted to situations. Yeah, it was a really nice way. So I'd like to share some of the things I did. There was a time in my life when I had quite a bad depression. I'll save that for another video and talk about that because it's quite in depth. And but one of the biggest things that affected me was having gratitude. And this was the first thing that I focused on because I was a lot in when I was stressed, I would blame everything but me. I'd blame everyone around me, the whole situation. I'd blame where I lived. I blamed anything but anything but look at what was inside. And so I began hating my where I began hating everything. I hated where I lived. I hated that I had to get up and go to work, and I hated I just was in such a low vibrational state. And so I decided I'd um, focus on gratitude. And instead of being angry at things around me, I would look around me and I would list two or three things that I was really grateful for. Instead of being angry at, say, one of my children or um, my partner, I would find two or three things of why I really, really appreciated them being there. Um, Same with anything that came up with a blockage, and I felt that restrictive tenseness that I wanted to, get upset or angry or felt stressed or anxious, whatever it was. I would go back. I would come back into my heart space and I would list two or three things. Why am I grateful for that in this moment? What can I name three things that make me feel grateful? And that was the thing that was enough to turn the situation around. So instead of focusing on what I didn't have or what I was lacking or what people weren't doing for me, I focused on what I did have and being grateful for that, focused on what attributes I had, focused on that. The things that people did for me, I was grateful for, and that I was grateful for the home I lived in, that I had a home, that I had food on the table, the minuscule things. And that is a huge thing about living simply, is having gratitude for the very simple things, having a window to look out of, having a garden that provided fruit and vegetables, having company, So yeah, that was a really huge turning point in this whole process I've been in, so having that gratitude. The other thing that was right at the forefront was breathing, conscious breathing. So I've always been right into breathing and meditation most of my life. I've always had one foot in the door of a spiritual path, and so breathing was very important to me. But this, I stepped up a notch, and I read the Wim Hof method, so I practiced that for a while. I listened to different audiobooks, and I really spent a lot of time focusing on my breathing. And I've also done yoga most of my life as well, so the breath was a huge part of that practice. And but this time I brought it much more into consciousness throughout the moments in my day. So turning into that breath, slowing down the breath, slowing it right down, breathing with different, like breathe. I would go into the sea and I would breathe really slowly with a snorkel on and float on the water. And I would breathe with the movement of the tide. And it was the most relaxing, blissful, suspended, beautiful thing that I did. And it was such a comfort to me. So I'd often go down to the beach with my snorkel and flippers and yeah, and just breathe with the sea, breathe with the wind. Yeah, it was just feeling the breath, like putting my hands onto the grass and breathing with the earth. It was a very powerful meditation to do. And that was another thing that allowed me to calm my mind, calm my body, calm my nervous system. And that became part of slowing down. And I would go out and lie on the ground. I was doing the earthing for a while, so I'd go out and do an hour. I'd just lie on the grass with I'd always have a sheet on because the flies were always buzzing around. And yeah, I would just breathe. I wasn't focused on meditating or anything, doing anything specifically. It was just connecting to the grass and breathing. And it was amazing. And so from these two things, gratitude and breathing, there came an acceptance of where other people are and my expectations of other people, they began to lessen. I was able to accept that everybody's on their own journey, like me. Everyone might be struggling through their journey. Some people are, cruising through it. Other people are really struggling, and it's having an acceptance of where people are, not trying to force them to keep up with you or to, you know, not go ahead of you. Like it's just accepting everybody where they are. And with that acceptance, the other powerful uh, thing that I brought into my simply living that simple life was forgiveness. And most of the time it was finding forgiveness for things I'd done to myself, things I've done to others, ways I've acted. Um, it was just a lot of forgiveness. And I was then allowed, when I brought in that um, acceptance of where people were, I could understand why they were acting the way they were. When we're feeling wounded, we all act from that wounded self. And it may be like we revert to a time when we were a child and we had something happen, and we then kept living our lives from that wounded place, from that child place. And that carries on into our adulthood, and we don't let go. We don't let go of that stuff. So yeah, that was another another way of just forgiving other people, forgiving myself, accepting of others, and being grateful for where I was in my life and with all my flaws. And there was many. I'm not afraid to admit it. There was a lot of flaws, and I had a really harsh view of where I should be, and I should be this, I should be that. And I was lucky if I could get up and get one job done, one thing on my list. And if I got that, did that through the day, I was like, yes, I've nailed it. Nailed the day. Yeah. So another thing that I brought in, um, and I've done this most of my life. It's always been a balancing process of balancing, work, balancing friends and fun, balancing, looking after the family and the family life, and balancing exercise, and just having this constant, you know, reassessment of each, every few months I would go out of balance, and I'd have to kind of write another list and make sure I was kind of bringing it back in. But so another one of those things was movement, because when I did get sad or felt overwhelmed, I would go to bed and just lie down. It was nice and warm. It was snuggly. I used to love going to sleep because I loved dreaming. I'm very visual in my dreams, so I would just go to bed, and it was like leaving it all behind and lying in bed. It was a nice, safe place for me to be in that moment. But what I needed to do was to take myself outside, get moving, go for a walk, even if it's a little one, get the blood pumping, move the energy through the body, do some shaking or some dancing, get up and do my yoga, just walk around the house or walk down the road, go to the beach. So yeah, having some movement is a really strong thing. And nature has always been the place I rejuvenate. There's something about the trees, the mountains, the streams, the beach. It just brings that beautiful. It's just, I just get so much joy from being in nature. It's so quiet. It smells really nice. The trees are just, there's always some movement in their leaves. Um, they're home to so many animals. We live in symbiosis with the trees. You know, they they give us oxygen to breathe, and in our breath out, we provide what they need for photosynthesis. So yeah, being in nature, going barefoot on the earth, and allowing, if there's troubles, you just allow it all to sink down to your feet and into the earth. And there was a lot of time when I felt like I was giving too much of my pain into the earth. But after a while, it was when I healed myself, I was able to then give back to the earth and give some of um, my source energy into the earth. Because when we're on this earth, in this earth experience as humans, we are so connected to the earth. Like, we are these carbon-based bodies that are a temple for our spirit selves. And so, well, hello, Dean. My little dog. Yeah, so we're here to give tend tend to the planet while we're here to give back. We have so much energy flowing through us, and we can give back to our planet and look after the planet while we're here in these beautiful temples to house our souls. And that is the last thing that, the change that I made to live simply. And that was reconnecting with that spiritual, uh, the universe, the soul, self, our the higher aspect of ourselves, our soul self, connected to source, as if we are just an aspect of source experiencing here on earth. And yeah, really feeling into that energy, feeling it move in your fingers, like there's so much energy around, and just being able to feel into it um, is another huge healer. One of my favorite meditations I do is um, it's just related to our cells in our bodies. Within our cells, we have the DNA, and in that DNA, we have the source connection. Everything is source, everything is energy, and the life force that we are. So we don't need to look outside of ourselves to connect to source, because we are already source. We just have this kind of ego veil over us. So all we need to do is go within. And the way I do it is I think of all my cells, and send, I just start feeling that source energy within each cell. And what happens is there's this vibration that starts, and every little cell starts vibrating. And then as it vibrates, the energy moves out. And so I'm looking at my whole body, feeling my whole body, and the whole body is starting to vibrate, like these every cell within my body growing and shining. And then this light begins to come out of my whole body, out of every cell. So it's just this huge light. And then it begins to connect with every cell of every other um, being, every bit of nature, every stone, the water, the air, the trees, the birds, the animals, other people. Yeah, it's a really, really powerful meditation. And I often do that when I wake in the morning, I just say, okay, source, it's time to connect, to bring source into my cells and begin to shine it out. So I hope you enjoyed uh, this video, and I'll be back a bit more often. I'd love to tell you some of the stories I've had of some of my shamanic journeys that allowed me to move forward, allowed me to claim some wounded parts of myself. So yeah, thank you, and see you next time.